I'm waiting on my coffee, um, and some fresh gluten-free baked goods this morning. I'm about to sit down and chit chat with y'all. Just trying to figure out the quietest place to do that. But for those of you who didn't know, um, right now, right now is Carnival time. So we're in the pre-Carnival phase right now here in Sao Paulo. And it's an exciting time. Basically, Carnival is like, whether you celebrate it or not, it's everywhere around you. So you kind of get the spirit of it. I know some people aren't into Carnival. I know they say that it has some demonic, like, so some roots that are very questionable, right, in terms of the history of it. But I can tell you for sure here in Brazil, it's kind of like a celebration of life, and it's every year, and people prepare for it all year long, and it's a really fun time. So right now, a lot of the city, everybody's getting ready with blocos, what they call their blocos, which are their big groups that they organize throughout the year, and they prepare music selections. And hi, whoever's on, they prepare their outfits and whatever music they're going to be playing, whether they're playing samba in the street or they're playing just, drums and percussion or doing capoeira while they walk down the street or whatever it is. They're going to be in them streets. And today is the first, this is called pre-carnival, but I live in a little bit of a more like suburban neighborhood. So these people are going to actually start their carnival like today. So they're going to be in the streets today. I'm going to try to take my son out to see some stuff. But what I really enjoy in Brazil when it comes to carnival is seeing like the Afro locals, because their costumes are really beautiful and they're beautiful brown people, and it's really just a lot of fun to see them. My first carnival in Brazil I did was in um, Salvador da Bahia. The first time I lived there back in I think it was like 2001, y'all. I've been coming back and forth to Brazil for years. And so I was living in Salvador da Bahia at the time, and baby, that's some black attack. That's like the most beautiful carnival, so much fun, tens and tens of thousands of people in the street at once, but like so peacefully, just marching, singing about being proud of what they are, having brown skin, singing about everything that you would want to hear about, dancing, playing drums. It's the most amazing carnival. So that was my first time doing carnival in Brazil. Since then, I've done several carnivals, but that was my first one. And so this will be, I've done it a few times here in Sao Paulo, and I'm excited to do it, but I have to pick and choose because luckily the mayor's office does like this elaborate list where every day you can go in and see who's out in the streets and go catch whatever groups you want. So today I'm gonna go catch a group with my son of like a Afro Bloco that I'm excited to go see. They'll be playing lots of percussion and African drums and different things like that. It's just such a fun time, and it goes on for weeks. So it's like for weeks you're being enriched with music in the streets whenever you want. For weeks, there's activities. All of this is the most exciting city. Like I cannot tell you guys. Besides Salvador and like Rio de Janeiro, Brazil has the best city because you're enriched all the time. I'll be doing carnival outings and marching in the street and dancing and singing and all of that, and then go and just see the most elaborate art displays in some community center or some art gallery or something. Like everywhere you go, you're enriched with art here and music and dance and all kinds of things. So it's going to be an exciting next few weeks. I'm very grateful. Let me show you what I'm eating. Hi, sister. So this is a gluten-free piece of like chocolate bread or whatever. I don't eat gluten, so it's kind of limited for me sometimes. This is a fresh grape juice. They don't add no sugar. One thing about Brazil, they love a lot of fresh juice, and they know better than to add a whole bunch of junk and sugar to their juices. And then I got me a little coffee with some vegan milk. Is your internet acting strange, sis? What's going on with it? Sis, what is your name again? It's on the tip of my tongue. Retired and rooted in Egypt, but I kind of am forgetting your name now. I'm Imara, by the way, because you forgot mine. But yeah, y'all, it is about to be fun times. And again, I know for some people, Carnival is just revelry and nonsense and whatever, whatever, and people get drunk, but it's more than that. You know, when you go your whole year working, you know, hustling, trying to figure out how to keep, you know, lights on, and just going through the ups and downs of life, because the life is, you know, very much an up and down for everybody. Something like Carnival, if you've never been in cultures that celebrate Carnival, this is something that all year long everybody builds up to and is waiting for its arrival so that they can just let loose a little bit. And yeah, it can get pretty carnal and you know, into some levels of carnality that I'm just not into, especially like, yeah, it can go there, but I don't see that. I know how to pick and choose the events and the things that I will feel comfortable in. It's not like I'm no nun or nothing, but you know, I like to go where, you know, I feel comfortable. And yes, Montreal, yay. Oh, I hope it starts to get better. I don't know why I tried. I'm trying to get my little thing that my phone sits on to stand to sit straight, and it will not sit straight for nothing. It's driving me nuts. Anyway, so you know, some people think it's a carnal thing. I don't remember all the history of it. I know it's some kind of European influence, and it's also got some mix up juju, you know, whatever. Some people think it's black magic. I don't know. I don't remember all the history of Carnival, but I will say. And then you have, like, for instance, in the Caribbean, where I used to live for a long time, they have the bacchanal. So they say that Carnival goes back to the bacchanal, which is kind of a word or term that has to do with like confusion and disorder. And so some people think Carnival is kind of a dark thing. But for me, I'm just like, live it up. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna do the thing. I'm gonna take my kids out, my youngest son, my daughter can do whatever she wants. Um, and we're just going to enjoy ourselves at the things that are appropriate for us to enjoy ourselves at, and just enjoy the community, because sometimes we're in this huge, gigantic city, like 10 million, 12 million in the center city that we live in, and another 10 million on the outskirts. So it's like we're in this gigantic city. So Carnival also kind of gives our community that we live in, Pineros, a chance to like vibe with each other, like, you know, join groups and work together for the year to come and be able to do a presentation in the streets now during Carnival, and it gives you a chance to connect with your community, because you're so disconnected from people if you live in a city this large most of the time. So it's gonna be exciting. I'll definitely record some of what I see and some of what we do over the next few weeks. People think Carnival is all about what you see on TV, the women marching in the streets with the elaborate outfits and all of the big floats and all of that stuff. That's a part of it, but it's not the major part of it, not here in Brazil. That is a presentation that they do at like a samba drone. Like, for instance, you'll see it, the one in Rio de Janeiro, a lot in social media. That's a small aspect of it. Carnival is really about the neighborhoods and the people in the communities here in Brazilian cities and towns getting together, you know, saying, okay, I'm marching with this group this year, I'm marching with these groups. We're going to go out, we're going to practice, we're going to learn this choreography. We're going to learn these songs. We're going to play drums in the street. Everybody can play a little music and dance out here. I mean, Brazil is the most dancingest place we've ever seen outside of like somewhere like Cuba or something like that. Everybody dances. Everybody plays music. Even the white folk. Like, it's just a place where celebration of life, music, and dance, and it's very much, you know, like celebrated. That's why, and I don't post as much of my stuff on here, but I'm a dancer, so I'm always out in dance somewhere. And I post that more on Instagram, but um, we will be posting more of that here. But yeah, like, one of the things I love about Brazil, and I've always loved about Brazil, is because it is a dance country. People celebrate dance. They pull out instruments and do live music everywhere and at any point. Carnival is pre-Carnival starting today. So we'll do pre, which just means certain other neighborhoods that might be more suburban, like my neighborhood, or some of the, like, they'll let the children go first. So the children's groups where they're playing music and doing the things, they let them go out first. So they'll be in the streets this week. Honey, they take time off from school and everything, like work, school, everything. When Carnival really hits its peak. So we'll do that for the next week, and then they'll start to roll out a lot of the other groups, even though they're starting today too. And it's thousands and thousands of groups that are going to be out in the streets, marching, dancing, playing music. It gets loud. I already have my earplugs ready. And we're just going to do that. Excuse me, I'm going to eat a little bit. Mm. So that's what we're doing. Super exciting, y'all. I'll try to get some pictures, some video. I didn't do it that much last year. I didn't do a lot of Carnival. I have fallen quite ill around Thanksgiving last year and was ill for a couple of months. It was bad. Not ill, but I was going through a lot of hormonal changes because perimenopause and stuff like that. And they were kicking my behind. And so by the time Carnival came, I went out a little bit, but I couldn't really hit it like that. And I'm not no crazy in the streets party animal type anyway. But I'm going to go out a little bit more this year just so I can expose my son to more. He gets pretty bored out here sometimes, not because there's not a lot to do, but because a lot of it doesn't necessarily cater to the fact that he's a teenage boy. Other than him playing sports, which over the last year, it seems like he has lost interest in sports. He's more interested in making music and because he produces, and he's more interested in like other things, more musical and artsy oriented. He does visual arts too. So that's great for him, but it's also a more isolation type of thing. It's harder to meet and make connections and be active and be out there with other people, because all the children and the people here, this is a sports oriented culture. They play soccer, they play football, they play soccer. And then he's more of a baller, so he likes basketball, but it's just really hard for him. So I want to take him out to at least see some things, see if anything gets sparked, any interest. Oh, yeah, okay, yes. I'm going to try to be on point. I'm usually not, but I'm going to try to be on point with my camera and get some good footage and even maybe put some reels and some shorts together. But so the samba drum, when you see the imagery of Rio de Janeiro and the big fancy, that is not real samba. That's just the big presentation music. That's not real Carnival. Real Carnival are the neighborhoods, the people. Yes, they might be dressed up, but it might not be nothing elaborate. But they're gonna be playing music. They're gonna be celebrating. They're gonna be having fun. Some of them are gonna be drinking and being wild too. Things that some people might not want to see. Hey, Camelo. And it's going to be a blessed time. Now, I've done Carnival here. I've done Carnival in the Caribbean several times. I've done Carnival in San Francisco, but the main places I've done Carnival are like the Caribbean and here in Brazil. And it's fun. I'm excited. I'm excited to share it. Another thing people need to understand is like in somewhere like in Salvador up north, where it's all this black culture and Afro indigenous culture blended, and it's a lot of black pride and everything like that up there. The Blocos, they make like a political statement too. So those groups are organized. They have one, for instance, called Filhos de Gandhi. Sadly, because I think a lot of us have learned the real history of who Gandhi was. But Filhos de Gandhi, in other words, Sons of Gandhi, is a group that they wear all white and these elaborate blue and white outfits, beautiful. And when you go and march with them, there'll be like 10,000 of them in the street at once. And, but their march is about, world peace. It's about positive things, it's about unity, it's about brotherhood, so that's more, so all of the Blocos tend to have like different messages that they promote too. You have one called Ile Aye, and everybody in Ile Aye and everyone who comes from the neighborhood that they're from, it's called, the hood that birthed Ile Aye in Salvador is called Liberdade, Liberty. And in that neighborhood, they have birthed this beautiful Bloco that dresses in the most gorgeous African attire. And I've been and marched in their actual neighborhoods with them. when they are, in the streets at 2 in the morning, just swaying together and dancing, and it'd be like, 5,000 people in the streets in the middle of the night, just dancing and swaying, preparing for the Carnival presentation. And so that group is all about, their pride over being African, their pride over, everything they've gone through, the fact that they built this country like we built a lot of these countries, and that it's a thriving country that they unfortunately don't get a lot of the benefit from, as a group, as Black folk here. But yeah, so, but Brazilians are very proud. No matter what, they're very proud people. So that is some of what you'll experience up there. I'm down here in the south, so I'm in Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo is what on the surface looks like a very kind of white Brazilian city. That once you come in and start to come in, you realize, oh no, we're here. We're really here. Because remember, Brazil is half black, basically. It's a huge country, and it has more black folk than anywhere else in the world outside of Nigeria. Okay, so Brazil's very black. And so then when you start to infiltrate the city, you realize, yeah, we're here, we're just tucked away. Because what they did is they had a lot of black folk in the city as it was being created and built up here, working as usual. We're always used as labor. And so they were working here in coffee, they were working in sugar, they were doing all that here, and slaving really. And from there, they got tired of black folk being in the city center, wanted to shift things, sent them all out to what we call, there's a little boy here, he's so cute. Hola. Pretty, they call it the periphery, periferia. So then they shifted it. So then when you go outside of the city center, it's a racist country. It's definitely a racially biased country. And even though you don't really feel it, especially as a foreign person, but it is that. And so when you start to move out of the city about 8 or 9 miles from the center where I'm around right now, then all of a sudden it shifts and you start seeing more of what they call favelas. We call them quebradas down here. And you start to see more of the communities that are full of, brown skin, dark brown people. And it's a lot of them. I'm talking from as far as the eye can see. So this shit is messed up. It's messed up. I've been trying to spend more time going out into the periphery more, and vibing with the folks, just because sometimes you can get isolated in the city and be like, oh, it's so great, da 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 da, but disconnected from the reality and the history of where you are. And so, even last week, I was in the periphery doing some stuff with my folks, and just having a good time. It's a good vibe because Brazil is such a good vibe, but it's especially good when you're with the down home regular people. They're amazing people. The kindness. So here in the city center, it's more commerce, also a lot of fun and arts and different and culture and city parks and stuff like that. But you still realize it's an expensive city comparatively, especially compared to the rest of Brazil. And our folks usually can't really live in this part of the city. So it can be very white when you're in the city center of Sao Paulo, but then when you go out, you see, oh, we here, we really here. So it's just an interesting. You have to, Brazilian history is very, very complex. This is a country that supposedly started the transatlantic slave trade first and ended it last. Just telling you, it was a long period of a lot of folks. Now, the question mark is, there's a lot of questions about that history and how things really went down in terms of how so many black folk got here. Because, also we're the indigenous people of all the continents. So, for us to be feeling like we all had to come from Africa and that's it, that's all, it's kind of silly. Because we were everywhere. We were in the United States, we were everywhere. You know what I'm saying? We've always been everywhere. And so, but according to these people, according to the people here, who, are very into their history, much more so than African Americans are, very knowledgeable of their background, they say their ancestors came from Africa. So I don't be trying to, tell people who or what their history is. So that's what it is. And so, everywhere the black folk in this country are very connected to that place. You know what I mean? Even despite living down here, for instance, in Sao Paulo, where it's a very visibly kind of white faces. You know, that's what it looks like on the surface. And in Rio de Janeiro, everywhere, you know, they're into their roots and themselves and the incredible history and contribution to the culture and the development of everything that they've had here in Brazil. So it's a proud place and it's a beautiful country. Um, what else? So yeah, we're preparing for Carnival. Y'all know a lot of people are coming into the country right now, especially because everybody likes to go to Rio's Carnival, which is amazing. I don't really be in Rio that much just because they be doing too much out there. This is like they be robbing and stealing your phones and your personal belongings, and you know, doing a whole lot of too much. So I don't really be out there that much. But it is a really fun and gorgeous city. So you know, and that's another very black hub. Rio's more like the Pardos. We call them Pardos. So they're like mixed, very mixed people. So when you go to Salvador, they might be more like me. And then when you go to Rio, you'll get, you know, some mix up, but they're still like they consider themselves to be black folk. They mix, but they're like we Afro, we, you know, we're black. And the vibe is very much so us, very much so. And, whew, Lord. So, yeah, Rio is that energy. Yeah, Brazil is fascinating. I started getting into the culture back in '99. I was at '98. I was at Rutgers University in New Jersey, and I have a mentor. I was really into Africana studies, and I had a mentor who was a scholar in Afro-Brazilian everything. And so she really took me under her wing. So I was really deep in learning about, you know, everything about Brazil. That was like the first thing that nudged me towards coming here the first time I moved out here, which was around '01. And so I have been learning a lot, and you know, it's just so much to learn here. The Amazons are here, you know, so the knowledge around herbal medicine, something I'm really into, and all of that is very, very rich here. I'm about to be jumping into a program for Brazilian herbs here soon. Everything is just a very rich place. They have so much culture. They have so much culture. God, so much art. They have so much. Knowledge of healing practices, you know, and plant medicines and the safe use of plant medicines to actually heal yourself spiritually, which is another thing that's really been a big part of my life. So yeah, there's a lot that you can get out here in Brazil. Does anyone have any questions? I'm like talking at the camera. Does anyone have any questions? Earlier I was talking about Carnival, so we're going into Carnival. We're in pre-Carnival now, which is basically Carnival. No questions. So I don't know if you were on last week. After I'm finished here, I'm gonna walk around a little bit. This park is so cute, but I need to do some grocery shopping. Um, I love this market because it is all organic. So nothing in here is not organic. And there's an inside, and there's a bunch of vendors on the inside there that I'll show you guys. But it's just so nice to be able to get things because you know Brazil is a very pesticide country. They use a lot of pesticides on their produce in general. So you have to do organic. You know, you have to do organic. So you'll see a lot of fresh, delicious looking food. I mean, the produce, the fruit, everything very beautiful, very delicious. But you want to get it without the pesticides. And so I make sure I try to come here when I can. Then I have another um, kind of like food co-op near my house that I can go to and get everything is organic, farm grown, shipped in every day from the farm that is still here in the same state. So it's not on like a truck for 4 days coming across the country or nothing weird like that. So um, organics is really important here in Brazil. I'm gonna do some shopping and then I'm gonna walk around. I don't know, you guys don't want to do the shopping with me, maybe you will. But yeah, it's a very exciting time. The energy starts to get kind of frenetic for Carnival. And I don't know if anyone, I've been hearing, are you in Sao Paulo for Carnival? Yeah, you know what, I barely leave the city. But our city has so much. I barely even go anywhere, to be honest with you. I have spent, I've lived in Bahia. I've lived in different parts of Bahia. I know Bahia. I love it bad, but I just prefer being down here in the south. That's just my energy. And then Rio is dope too. Sometimes we be out there, but mostly I stay right here in Sao Paulo, and I have no regrets. Except that I need to get to the beach more often, and it's about a 2.5 hour ride to a very like a beautiful beach. So I have to put in more effort to get to the water. But other than that, yes. We are here in Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo has its own huge carnival thing. We'll see how much of it I do. I have an intention to experience more of it this year than I did last year because I was a little bit like in recovery last year. But this year I'm really excited because the weather is more overcast. Last year it was like Hades for Carnival. That's another reason I wasn't out in the streets much. And I am not pro hot weather anymore at this time in my life. I much take the cloud cover most days over the blazing heat, right? So this is telling me it's going to be a better season, a better carnival if the weather stays like this. But we are in Sao Paulo and the weather never stays one way. Sao Paulo be having a raging storm and look up and the sun be out the same day, bright like the storm never even happened. That's just the city. 20-degree drops in one day in temperature before it's even, the middle of the night, like crazy stuff, like wild weather. So we'll see what happens, y'all. Where are y'all at? Okay, I know where you are, Miss Matrell. El Camelo, are you international? I see you got international in your name. I feel like Mr. I'm pretty sure, well, it's L, so I'm assuming you come on here a lot, but I feel like I've been referring to you like you're not a man, but you must be. Oh, you're, okay. Oh, hey, what's up, Rafael? Tudo bem? Okay, we got Rafael and Rio. I think you've been on here before. You ready for Carnival, Rafael? We're getting ready. We're down here in Sao Paulo. Definitely getting ready. Trying to clear some space so we'll have time to be. I might do I might be out in the streets a little bit today because some of the blocos are going out today around my house. I try to do anything that's like convenient for me because this place is gigantic. And sometimes you don't feel like training all the way across the road or something. Are you in ATL? Okay, cool. Where's your next stop? Are you going anywhere anytime soon? This is fresh grape juice, you guys. No sugar added. Ooh. And it's in a cute little jar. Going anywhere? So yeah, my next stop, my dream, what I want to do is buy some property on the coast of Sao Paulo in this area called São Sebastião. Oh, you headed straight to Sao Paulo. So do you live, I'm sorry, I know we probably talked before and I know you'd be up on here, but do you live in Sao Paulo sometimes? Are you back and forth? Yeah, you're in and out of Brazil a lot. I don't know if we've ever really connected off of YouTube, but yeah, Sao Paulo, you headed in for Carnival, you gonna be here? It's a vibe. The energy is good. I'm so excited about the cloud cover. I hope it stays, y'all, so we can have a good time in the streets, okay? Even though for me, I don't really, they get a little too rowdy for me, so I don't stay out long. Like, I'll go out for like an hour and come in. I would be, it be getting a little too rowdy for me and dirty, like the streets get dirty and stuff, so that's the thing I don't like about Carnival. Too dirty and sticky. Oh my gosh! Welcome. Welcome. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I was saying earlier in this video that sometimes it can be like a little shock. If you're going to stay in Sao Paulo is great for the people who want to be near the international airport. They want a lot of arts and urban vibes, and they want to take time. Sao Paulo, if you plan on staying here, you need to take time with it because it's so big. that at first, on first glance, you can be like, oh my God, this is just this white Brazilian city. I don't know if that matters to you or not. But once you dig in, then you start to discover where to go in Sao Paulo and where to get vibes and how to maneuver this town. And it just becomes amazing once it opens up to you. But it's not one of them run through and splash through type of cities at all. So where are the property prices where I want to buy? So I'm looking at like 3-bedroom houses, um, which you can do here. In that, like when you push out of the city, you can do that. Not even a little bit where I am right now in Sao Paulo City, but in the state of Sao Paulo, I can do something like that for 100K. I mean, I might have to do some renovating, but it'll be a fully functional house, right? Um, and that's 100K USD. For me, and I have good like credit here. I probably could finance something if I wanted to, but I'm going through a little bit of a transition right now, so I'm waiting. But yeah, right now is about to be. That's kind of like what I'm moving towards. And down there in South Sebastian, they have really beautiful like the views. I'm a view person, so I love a lot of views, especially coastal views. So some amazing views, small towns, super cute, gorgeous hiking trails, lots of nature vibes. And, real estate and things are cheaper. Sao Paulo is expensive. You want to take a break from the US and check out Brazil. If I like it, I'll immigrate. Yeah, I highly suggest it. There's just so many places to check out here in Brazil. It just depends on your personal taste and what you like. But I think you should check out at least the three major cities that everyone kind of loves, which obviously is Sao Paulo, Rio, and Salvador, if you get a chance. But just catch a different vibe. Each one of them has their own flavor. All amazing. All amazing. Um, so I don't deter, but I've also lived in like the countryside in Brazil. I've lived in a town called Itacaré, which is just an idyllic, gorgeous town near all kinds of Afro-Quilombos, Afro-Indigenous Quilombos. The Quilombos are like the towns that the people that call themselves that said they were enslaved. So the slaves ran to and got the hell out when they were trying to get away from the white folk. They went and established their own towns. And in Itacaré area, they established towns along this river that runs through the town. And so we lived out there, and my son used to do a lot of capoeira at one of the quilombos there in Itacaré. But that town, that whole river that runs for miles and miles, it just has different little settlements and communities, and their ancestors settled them, when they were trying to get away. And get freedom and do their own thing, because the river provides. You have the fish, you have water, you have all so much there on the river. So they're out there. That's an amazing part. You can do that. Brazil has those quilombos all over. So there's a bunch of them down here in Sao Paulo. There's a bunch in Rio. They're all the way, all through this country. This country got some really interesting history. Because my son, I have him doing a project right now at home where he's kind of doing a comparison of the Afro Quilombos here in Brazil to some of these settlements and the successful towns that we had before they bombed them. Rosewood, Greenwood, Black Wall Street. That's what he's doing. He's 14. He's doing a paper about that right now. And it's just really different for them because when we came up in the U.S. and was getting our shit together and realizing we didn't even need them to be successful and we're organizing into little communities and stuff, they would come through like, they wouldn't let us have no time being straight before they come in bombing and jealous and, acting crazy. Out here in Brazil, these people are a little, I don't know if they were more lackadaisical or what, but black folks would go out and go do their own thing, and they would just be free and out and all around. So they had them communities all around this country. And yes, you do hear about like the Quilombo of Palmares, which is one that was in the state of Alagoas, which is way up north, and part of it is in Pernambuco state. And that was one that existed for over 100 years, and they really fought for their freedom. They fought. They had their army, their militia set up. They was not letting them take them or drag them back into no kind of servitude type of, forced slavery, servitude. So Palmares is the one you'll hear about the most, but those communities are all over Brazil. So they have a little bit of a different experience than like African Americans. And so I want my son to dig into that a little bit more. I need to get him some more sources on the Quilombo Zelle. It's a little harder to come by. And his Portuguese is it's there, but it's too slow. Like me trying to get him something in Portuguese would be kind of difficult. But yeah, so that's something we're digging into right now. And yes, saying all that to say, rich place. For those of you that are interested in learning more about Brazil, or coming through, you want some support, we do tours, we do concierge to help people who are migrating, immigrating, and want to get settled out here. And I also do coaching, coaching for families who want to make that move, want to make that jump. I have all of that on my stand store. So I'll put the links below. But that is definitely something that you can also just email me and we can just talk about what it is you need. I'll put that below as well. But basically, this is a great place to consider an option if you are really, wanted somewhere where you don't feel understimulated or, somewhere where there's vibes. That's my thing. Like I've been to a lot of countries. I'm not getting a lot of vibes when I'm in Europe, most countries in Europe that I've been to. Like I'm not, there's just a lot of places where I'm just like, I can't, I can't. But, somewhere like here, dope. Um, I love Africa, of course. Africa's always a vibe. I've never been anywhere in Africa that wasn't so enriching, so interesting. And I love islands personally. I love the Caribbean a lot. That's kind of where we spent almost 10 years. I would say it was very on and off, so maybe in total 5 or 6 years. Because we would come and go, or we would stay long shots a few years at a time. But yeah, the Caribbean is really dope. So yeah, if you want to go somewhere where you can feel like you're a part of a community, there's some energy, there's some ashe. Some in Brazil is somewhere to consider for sure. And we can help, we can support with that. We'll be here in the city for a while. I don't know how long, because eventually, like I said, I'm moving to the coast. Gotta go to the coast. But I don't see us leaving Brazil. So I don't really see us leaving Brazil. I definitely don't see us in the States. But hey, you never know. Sometimes life will pull you and take you out of places you thought you would never leave, but it is what it is. But I don't really, my grandparents died. They raised me. I have family in the States. I have a lot of family in the States, but they're used to me being gone because I've been international mostly for a long, long time. So they're kind of used to not seeing me like that. So, but yeah, did anyone have any more questions? I'm about to get up off here and go do this grocery shopping right quick. All right. Well, I appreciate you all for staying on with me. You're always so sweet. Some of the same people. Hey, Camelo. Okay, seems like Sao Paulo has everything there. Yeah, they can push on like a main hub. I would say that's a very, very accurate description of Sao Paulo. That's what oh, thank you. I will enjoy it. Sao Paulo has everything. It's a slow burn. You take your time, you get to know it, and you'll fall in love with it, I'm pretty sure. But it is somewhere on surface, you'll be like, oh, now this is not the Brazil I was looking to experience. It's not like when you show up in Salvador or Rio and it's just black. It's just vibes, it's culture. Like you have to know how to maneuver here. But for me, it's worth it because it's a commercial hub. It's easy to get businesses going down here. We can get everything shipped here easily. The international airport is here. It's a nice, very nice black expat community. Good folks, very good folks. I mean, those are my people. Phil, you'll probably see Phil in Brazil. That's my homeboy. We all do music together. We collab on things. We vibe. We have barbecues at each other's house. We do all of that. So it's definitely a community here. And the vibes are good. Really good. Really good. Great people. I don't know what it is, but it feels like great people like to immigrate to Brazil. Because I've lived in other places like Mexico and stuff like that where it would be like a real mixed bag. Especially of us Americans, and it'd be like a real mixed bag out there on what you're gonna do. But down here, I feel like some of the best come down here to live, and it's wonderful. So yeah, that's what I got to say. That's my Sao Paulo spiel. 'Cause you know I'm always hyping Sao Paulo forever, forever. So, all right, y'all. Anything else, El Camelo? Like if I was pronouncing that in Spanish, I would say El Camello. That's how I would say that. Anything else? Oh, here's my daughter. All right. I appreciate you. Appreciate y'all, and I'll get you some footage, Carnival footage, probably today. Okay? Have a blessed one.